Alright, I'm going to look at Becoming a Translator by Douglas Robinson. This time we're going to look at chapter 4, which for me is where the fun starts with the book. So it's very easy to gradually fall into bad habits when you translate, especially if you do it for a long time. Boredom is a big factor with easy documents, and with very difficult documents, taking shortcuts is a very significant risk as well. So what we have to try and do, and I think this chapter talks about it quite well, is while we're figuring out how to sort of minimize any wasted time, how to get better and better at doing something with minimum unnecessary work, we're also trying to figure out how to get better at doing it and how to do the job correctly. And there is a tension between those two things, right? I mean, you could check things once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. At what point do you say, okay, I've checked it enough times that this will be good work? And it's difficult. There's not really a clear answer. And if you work with different translation agencies, they'll have their own workflows and their own processes, and they'll all have their own way of doing it, and some are good, some are bad. Just as a little rule here, if they tell you how many times to do something, it's normally rubbish. Because a smart person knows it's not about how many times you read it, it's how you're reading it, how you're approaching it. At the same time, if you spent as much time, if you spent on every birth certificate, okay, I've checked the name once, let me check it again, let me check it again, let me check it again. Be there all day, you'll never make any money. So it's how you balance those two things and get better at doing them. And it's a real challenge, actually, for translators. Being able to check something correctly without wasting any time is important, I think, for a translator. The other thing I've had issues with is boredom. Frankly, boredom with jobs that are kind of easy, that you can switch off half your brain and just tap, and you sit there typing, and you look at the clock and 5 minutes has gone, and you type, and only 5 more minutes has gone, and then type, 5 more minutes. And it's this kind of subconscious process almost, where occasionally you have to kind of wake yourself up and be sort of to take a conscious look at what you're doing. If the document's hard enough, or if there's a sort of interesting thing about it that you've never seen before, that kind of wakes you up anyway. But if it's like, I don't know, I must have translated at least, 500 birth certificates, for example, at least. And there's only so many varieties. Occasionally you get like a Uyghur name or a Mongolian name or something, and it's like, ooh, Mongolian, and you have to sort of research it a little bit more carefully. But yeah, anything that helps you, it's not just about an abundance of caution and being more and more careful, because that is not a healthy way to live your career. It's about getting better at knowing when to be careful and when not to be, and learning from it. And if you get it wrong, learning from it and not getting it wrong again. So it's an interesting discussion, and for me, chapter 4 of Becoming a Translator by Douglas Robinson is the most interesting one, because it starts to talk about that, and then basically the rest of the book breaks down those terms into a bit more detail. So check it out.